that we are now recording this presentation. That's really quite useful because it means that we can then have that recording turned into a video. So that will become a video, and it will be available on the Rural Mission Solutions website. It also will be on YouTube. There will be links from the Rural Evangelism Network website as well. I'm hoping that my telephone won't go off and be a nuisance to anybody, but I have to leave my phone on. So I apologize if it does go off, and I'll just turn it off as quickly as I can if I do get disturbed. But there may be some who've had problems who may need just to call me quickly. So let's just say hi to Gordon. Gordon and I have been working over a number of years. We're both part of the committee of the Rural Evangelism Network, and it's been a joy to work with Gordon. Are you there, Gordon?
Good evening and God blessings to you all. Looking forward to sharing with you this evening.
So we're going to go forward with the presentation. Our apologies and an explanation that this is actually a presentation that was to have been shown, and technical problems that were caused by an update by Microsoft. They weren't fully to blame, but what they actually did triggered a problem with my router, and it meant that I couldn't connect on the internet at the time, and we had to put in a long time, and then it took us time to find out what was wrong. So apologies for that. Now, most of you probably will be actually seeing this in a video, so if you don't have any of the contact details that come live in the presentation, don't worry, you'll be able to get it through the website that we shall mention as we go on. So here we go. The first thing that we want to do is to sort of say how you can involve yourself. Now, I've already mentioned that in the control panel that you've got in front of you, you should have question, or you may have chat. Either of those two things work, and you can raise a question. We may be pushed for time to deal with your questions today, and if that is true, don't worry, we will get back. We will answer your question in due course. We're also going to give you an opportunity to take part in a poll, and we're going to ask you to do that in just a few moments. And at the end of the presentation, there will be a survey. It will come up automatically on your computer. So if you wait until the presentation's finished and has shut down, that's when the survey will come up. It may also come to you in an email. We really value your help with that. There's also going to be a follow-up forum. Now, this is only limited to a small number of people, but you will be able to interact live either by using a microphone on your computer, or there is a dial-in option, and I know at least one person this evening was concerned about coming in by telephone. So all of that information will be available. If you want to talk about anything we've done tonight, then you're very welcome to do it. But if you bear with me just a moment, we'll just run that poll. Only take a moment, and we've only got the one poll, but it's a little bit helpful to us, and I should be able to share this with you and show you what the poll is all about. So here's the poll, and hopefully you can all see that quite clearly on your screen right now. That's very interesting. Looks as if we stopped at that particular point. Oh no, we've got some people who are involved in leadership of non-rural churches as well. Now, isn't that an interesting mix? So half of you are in ordained or appointed leadership of a rural church, and a quarter as lay leaders, and a quarter leadership of urban churches. So anyway, it's lovely to see you all, and I can just, I think, let me just check because I'm not 100% sure, but I think I have to click on something just so that you can see it. Otherwise, you'll have to take my word that that's the situation. So I'm not sure if you've seen that or not. Anyway, I'm going to have to close the poll now. So half of you are ordained or in appointed leadership, and a quarter lay leadership, and a quarter are in leadership of non-rural churches. So sorry about that. I need just to minimize this. Just bear with me a moment. And we get back to our display. Right, okay, here we go. So, Gordon, tell us about this concept of the seasonal cycle.
Hello, Barry. Yes, particularly in rural areas, we're quite familiar with seasons and cycles. And this thing you've got there in front of you will kind of like explain more or less how the world sees a thing, the general society, where spring term, Easter, summer term, summer holidays, autumn term, Christmas, and then we build into that what the church engages with the world in church seasons, and then we think about events that are happening internationally, nationally, or even locally, right in our own communities as well. And so the idea is that rather like in the rural areas where we would do planting and reaping and harvesting at different times, so as we look through the year, we look at the things that are happening and see, well, how can we missionally engage that links in with those patterns of things that are already there with people as well. And this particular tonight we'll be thinking the winter season, which broadly is December through to February.
So let's mark that. Okay, and now this diagram is one of the handouts, and you'll find that there are 5 handouts. You can download those. You'll find those on your control panel. Feel free to download those at any time, and you can either do it at the end or even while you're listening you can download. But don't worry if you miss any of them, they are all available on the Rural Mission Solutions website, so you can pick them up there. Now, when Gordon and I did one for autumn, we had about 6 major events, and we provided ideas and suggestions and resources for 6 major events, some of which are past, some of which are yet to come, including Bonfire Night. But we've got a number of other things. I do apologise. I thought I'd shut that program down. Perhaps you just help us with this, Gordon, as we think about these events. Now, we need to say that Gordon and I come from 2 different Christian traditions. Gordon, you're an Anglican.
Indeed.
And on the Anglo-Catholic side, really. I'm a congregational minister, and I've been working ecumenically for a long time. So we represent the Free Church and the Anglican traditions. And I want to say that when we're thinking particularly about Christmas, how important it is to think about working ecumenically. Now, shortly after Christmas, there is the Week of Prayer for Christian Unity, and it always seems ironic to me that often there's that Week of Prayer for Christian Unity, and over Christmas we've tended to do our own thing. So is it early enough to say that if there is another church in your village or other churches in your village, please will you talk with them, find out what they would like to do, find out how you can work together and work to your strengths. Now, it might be that doing some things in a chapel is a better thing than doing it in a big church. Sometimes it's better being done in the large church. So work out where's the best place and think about other partners. You know, if you can actually engage with the secular community, with the parish council, with the school and so on, and get them involved in your planning and ideas, well, you'll find that really, really positive, very, very helpful. So all of that's important. And together, one of the things you could do is flag up the fact that during the winter months, there'll be some people in your community, elderly people perhaps, or other frail people who need a little extra care. So have a plan, work it out, and work it out between the secular and the Christian societies. Don't just leave it to one body of people. So,
I think at this time of year, as far as most people are concerned in the society around us, there are 2 events, and that's Christmas and New Year. However, interestingly, certainly in my tradition, there are a number of other events, and the 2 particularly here I mention are Advent and Candlemas, which is the presentation of Jesus in the temple, which for us ends Christmas season. That's the 2nd of February as well. And there are also some various saints and other notable celebrations, and I'm going to speak about those a little bit later on, about 3 of those in particular that have a really resonance for today, for a way of engaging with us. But we'll speak about those in a moment.
Yes, meanwhile, we'll say, what are you doing about advertising? And I hope you're doing some really good advertising, that you've got some good leaflets going out and you'll put up clear notices that aren't too cluttered up with too many words, but put up, maybe have a special board out to advertise special things so that it draws attention. Maybe put some flags or bunting near it as well so that it's there. But get it out early. There'll be lots of things going on. You know very well that in the shops they've been doing things for Christmas for more than a month. Now that's ridiculous. But please make sure you get your advertising out in good time. So what are these events then in your calendar?
To mention the three here in particular, and if you just think about it, think about the things that are happening around the world. 26th of December, a lot of people say it's Boxing Day. Well, the church will actually say, certainly our tradition, that it's St. Stephen's Day. It was our first Christian martyr. So there's an opportunity to think about the persecuted church and religious intolerance. On the 28th of December, the Massacre of the Innocents, or the Holy Innocents, and that's about the killing of all the baby boys in Bethlehem. Something we like to park, but my goodness me, if you can't think about anything to do with that at the moment, with all the children that we know are caught up in conflicts, is there a way that you can invite people to come, spend some time in prayer and thinking about that? And then we move on, as I've mentioned already, about Candlemas, the presentation of Christ in the temple, which is about Jesus as the light of the world. So Jesus coming into this darkness of the world to bring that light as well. So they're three events that the church will celebrate that yet can have such a resonance and the way with the world are, and to help us think about those things. Moving over to Barry.
If Saints' Days aren't your kind of thing, well, here's something you might be particularly interested in. I hope you will be. No, sorry, I'm going to stay. We've rejigged this slightly. Gordon, say something about Christmas near you.
Yeah,
this is really an extension of a church near you, which is something you can find through the Church of England website.
And exactly, Barry, a church near you is fairly familiar. So folks these days will find out much of their information through the website. So they're going visiting somewhere, maybe having a holiday or whatever, and they may think, well, it's Christmas, maybe we ought to go and pay a visit to the church. I wonder what's going on. How do they find that out? And one of the ways that they can find it out is if your church has actually put their notices about what they're doing on this particular website, and it's going under the hashtag Joy to the World. And we've got a website how to link in with that one that's launched on December 1st. So from December 1st, if you've registered, then people will go onto that site at Christmas near you, and they'll be able to find all details because they'll put in their postcode and it'll put them straight to your church, and you'll be able to tell them all that you're doing. It's a fabulous idea.
But you've only got 4 weeks to get that done, no later than December the 1st. Now this is what I was going to say. For those that perhaps don't identify with the things Gordon's been talking about on Saints' Days, here's something everybody, Anglicans, Methodists, Baptists, Congregational, URC, everybody can identify with this. It was a Baptist initiative, but it's open to everybody. It's absolutely free. There's a website, and incidentally, don't panic over making notes of websites. They're all on the handouts that are available to you. But the idea is that you set up a nativity scene, you have people dressed up, and a typical nativity scene where you can use that as a backdrop for a photo so that it looks like the stable itself. And what you do is you have people dressed, but you also have some spare costumes, excuse me, so that somebody could say, well, I'd like to be in the picture. Can I be Mary? So somebody might be Mary in the picture, or somebody might be a shepherd. So they can put themselves. And you can either put it onto your own church's website or onto a Facebook site. You might want to ask their permission if you're going to do that. But they might like a picture to take with their own camera, with their phone perhaps, or whatever, and upload that onto their Facebook page. Or how about this? They could use it for a Christmas card if it's done early. So somewhere in the run-up to Christmas, maybe after December the 1st, get in the picture and follow that through. The number of people doing that has grown, and you use this as an opportunity to build bridges in the community, to invite people in. It's a lot of fun, and you can put refreshments on, and you can tell people about what's coming up. So carols played in the background, refreshments available, make a great opportunity for outreach into your community.
Just if I may just slide under that, Barry, is that there are, of course, we need to be careful about taking photographs of children. And so we would assume on this that the children who are there have their parent or carer's permission.
Absolutely.
You just need to be aware of that.
Absolutely, really important, and maybe have some permission slips ready. And you'll find information. Yeah, you'll find information on the website. Okay, back to you, Gordon.
Brilliant. Certainly, again, that in the tradition of the Church of England, the Roman Catholic, and some Methodist, we have a 3-year cycle of readings that we follow through, and each of those years has a particular gospel that is the feature gospel for that year, and the year starts from Advent through till Advent. So on Advent Sunday we will be starting a whole new set of readings, and it's Matthew's gospel for what we call year A. So if that's there, what about distributing Matthew's gospel already in your community? Perhaps inviting people to a big pitch, what's this gospel of Matthew's about? Could you think about having Matthew's gospels read out perhaps in public? What could you do to try to get people to engage with this particular gospel that we're going to be unpacking and thinking and preaching about as the year goes out as well?
All sounds very good. I kind of think people could think ahead, plan ahead, and carry it right the way through the year, and maybe organise getting a choir to come in and do St. Matthew's Passion coming up to Easter. That'd be great. Okay, some more Advent ideas then, Gordon.
One of the fabulous website here from Barnabas in Church is that fairly early on in Advent is to run an activity day for children, and again work with a local school and just have a great time to come together. I mean, I ran one of these regularly in Cornwall, and we called it an Advent Adventure, because we were setting off, as it were, to be thinking about the baby Jesus, and so we were laying out where we were going and the journey that we were making, who we might meet, and what to expect. But lots of ideas there in Barnabas in Churches on how you could run a Advent fun day.
Yeah, they've got a long list, a really long list. Well worth going and having a look at that. Again, don't worry about noting it down. Details are in the general handout that you'll find. This is another thing that you mentioned, Gordon, Posada.
Yeah, I mean, it tells you there that it's a Mexican tradition where a boy and girl would go around a village looking for a place to stay. So the idea is that you have figures, small figures, preferably figures that can be carried around easy and won't break. Could be wood or knitted or anything else. But basically, Mary and Joseph and possibly a donkey, a family plays host to them. So they'll stay there for the night, and then that family will pick Mary and Joseph and the donkey off and take it to the next place, who will then, the Mary and Joseph will spend the night with them there, and then they'll pick it up and take them the next one, and eventually Mary and Joseph arrive in church. And you can add all sorts of fun things to this. Photographs, create a travelogue, a diary of Mary and Joseph, what they get up to, and I tell you, some of those I've seen have just been so creative, really good giggle. And there's lots of information there, free stuff to download from the Church Army on how to run your own Posada as well. Just to say as well that one church I know, he carried this on and had the 3 wise men, so he ran it right the way through to Epiphany as well. So get the basic idea and see what you can do with it, but it's lots of fun.
Sounds very good. And I was wondering whether perhaps when Mary and Joseph and the donkey have arrived somewhere, if they get it planned, some people might be happy to give some hospitality in the evening, and maybe sing some carols.
Yeah, that's exactly right. There is a little sort of few prayers and things that you can actually say on the handover as well. Now, just quickly chuck in there as well, Barry, that if you happen to have a town nearby you and you can engage with those guys, then how about a Posada in the shop front windows? So make if you like, an advent calendar of the shop windows with the Mary and Joseph figures making the journey through. And you just use your imagination. It will go off all ways, inviting people to go and find where Mary and Joseph are now, go and find some angels, go and find some shepherds. Just great, just have some fun. The idea is there, and you can just expand it in all sorts of ways once you start.
Super. Gordon, Felicity has asked a question. She's asked about the Christmas near you, how to do that. There is a website, isn't it? I know you've mentioned it already. It should be in our handout, but if there's something missing from our handout, email us and let us know. But Gordon, do you remember what that web address was for Christmas near you?
It was simply www.achristmasnearyou.org.
Say it again.
All one word, lowercase, achristmasnearyou.org.
Thank you for that. Okay, so we move on and thinking again about all the different things that can be done during Advent that makes us a bit, it could seem we're very, very busy, all these events going on. And you're quite keen about slowing things down. Is that right?
I really, this is something that it is really very close to my heart, because the frenetic pace and people are pushing and shoving and so this is the church just saying, can we create some space where you can come and sit and relax and think and reflect? And you could do it in an evening, or one church I know does it on a Saturday morning, concluding with a simple lunch, and they start their sort of Saturday morning slow down Advent by having a very simple unadorned crib, which they just put night lights. So it's just of saying, here we are, we're waiting and we're ready, but we just want to slow things down and reflect a little bit of this journey that we're making and what it really is all about.
Okay, and we've got some more slow down ideas, I think.
These are some of the themes, of course. A number of us will have Advent candles, and there's a whole range of themes that run through the 4 weeks of Advent. I've just mentioned some here. You could be thinking of the prophecies and promises about Jesus in the Old Testament. You could hope, joy, peace, love. A very common one these days is God's people, the Old Testament prophets, John the Baptist and Mary. When you come together for these sort of Saturday mornings or evenings, it could be that these could be ways that this is what you'd reflect on, one of these ideas, as you make that journey towards the celebration of Christmas itself.
And again, if people have home groups, they can perhaps follow these themes through with just gentle home groups, making it quite relaxed, which is really important thing. Now, some churches also have book clubs, but we thought that maybe you could also use the Advent period to have a focus on a book. So here are some titles. Perhaps Gordon would talk about the first two.
Yeah, Walking Backwards to Christmas, Stephen Cottrell, nothing to do with the Goodies song back a ways, you might remember that one. But here Stephen Cottrell takes the event and then goes backwards and follows it right the way back into the Old Testament. So it's a fascinating way of meeting some of the characters. Similarly with Journey to the Manger with Paula Gooder, what Paula does here is to try and sift out what is the actual core gospel message and what have we in our gospels and what's been added to. And she doesn't do it in any sense saying nasty stuff, we shouldn't have all these kind of like legends and whatever, but she said let's just be understanding where they are, where they come from, what is the gospel message, in a lovely accessible way. She just unpacks that, so we get a bit of a clearer idea of what our gospel message is and what the gospels actually tell us about this event and what we kind of like added to it to add some colour to it. Very good.
Thank you, Gordon. The third book there, Might There Be More to Christmas, is a new publication from the Bible Society. So that's available from the Bible Society website. If it's not on our handout, just Google Bible Society and you'll find their resources. They've got other Christmas resources and there are a number of other organizations that have special resources for Christmas. I think there'll be some things on the Hope website. We might mention that later. There'll be some things on various other websites where people do publications. Scripture Union, I know, have got new booklets for children. So there's quite a lot of material. Have a good look around, but some of these information will be in our handouts. Okay, Gordon's going to tell us something about decorating a bus stop.
Indeed. If you're going to Foy in Cornwall, just as you enter into Foy, you will find that somebody has actually got a bus stop that's all decorated out and throughout the year. But the idea here is if you've got a bus stop, a bus shelter maybe in particular, could you make it into a nativity set? And it's as simple as that. Could you kind of adopt it and make it something that speaks about Christmas? Just an idea.
So that's Foy down in Cornwall, where Gordon used to work in the Diocese of Truro. But if you Google bus stop Christmas, you'll find a number of illustrations. I'd like to say something about Sing Christmas, which is based on Leicester. Radio Leicester runs a program at Christmas time with community carol singing. And what happens is that all the pubs, well, not all, but a large number of pubs in Leicestershire, it's county-wide, will tune in to Radio Leicester, and we'll have the radio turned up so that people can hear everything, and everybody joins in the carols where they are. And this has become a major county-wide event. Now, it may happen in your county, in your area, but if not, maybe something you could see if you could plan. Great opportunity. And we get the Christians to go out into the pubs for these occasions and sit with other people, not to overtly evangelize, but maybe to just to chat and build friendship. And Hope have got something special, haven't they? That's a free carol book, I believe.
It's a free carol book that particularly picks up the Christmas #1 that's celebrating 200 years, the Silent Night. So it's a little booklet that explains something about Silent Night with some carols in as well, and that's a free one to download from Hope. And again, we've mentioned Hope, lots of other good resources there as well. So go and have a look at that at the Hope website there.
Right, that's Hope Together, I think it's called now.
Together.
Okay. Now, we've got a series here. There's a number of ideas and suggestions we want to suggest about how to take the Christmas story out of your church and into the community. That's where it ought to be. That's where it began, indeed. Gordon, tell us about Stations of the Crib. Well, I'm familiar with Stations of the Cross. What's Stations of the Crib?
Much the same idea, Barry, and perhaps we are equally familiar with the Good Friday Walk of Witness, maybe even on, for some, might remember Wit Walks, but the idea is to look at your village and thinking, how can we tell the story by maybe dressing people up, having a donkey, and going through the village and stopping at various places, telling a bit of the story. You might have used a pub if you've got one. When we did this again in Cornwall, we started in the Anglican church and journeyed through the village and ended up in the Methodist church having something to eat and drink and some refreshments as well. Again, just use your imagination. You could see the shepherds coming in and joining the party, and then you could see the wise men coming in as well. So basically, you're telling the story, involve the community in telling the story of the journey of Mary and Joseph.
And of course, you could use scarecrows. A lot of villages these days have scarecrow festivals, and you could do something at Christmas and have your various characters. So there could be stations around the village with little scenes, some shepherds and some wise men and so on as scarecrows. That's another idea. And I heard about a village in Norfolk where somebody had purchased over a period of time a number of these illumination signs. I expect in your community, as in mine, there are some people who like to cover their house with all sorts of brilliant lights and symbols at Christmas time. And what he's done is he's got all the story, lovely illuminated signs using these rope lights. And what he's done is he's got people around the village, and you can go on a trail. They produce a leaflet that explains where these things are, and people can go out and they plan that over a period of time. And the Bardney Messy Nativity Trail is very interesting. That started a few years ago, and it's become very popular again in Norfolk. And this was introduced by Dr. Peter Atkins from the Messy Church movement. And he said, well, they started on the second Sunday of December, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, ran a messy event. So the usual messy event with craft and maybe some games and some carols and some fun and so on, all sorts of things just for a while. And I don't know whether they have a drink, but they wouldn't have a meal there because of things that follow. And what actually follows was they, after a while, say, well, let's see if we can go and find the baby Jesus. Let's come out. And so they go out into the local churchyard, and they are fortunate enough to be able to put some sheep in their churchyard and have some people dressed as shepherds. So they go up, and then the leader says, is the baby Jesus here? And they say, no, he's not here. I'm not sure where he is. I think he went down the road a little way. Could you just check out the chapel? So they went down to the chapel, and there was a choir of angels singing in. And so as they arrived, the singing was going. And when they'd finished singing their carol, the leader said, let's all ask the question together. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Is the baby Jesus here? And somebody was set up to say, no, he's not here. But I think that I think Mary and Joseph went down by the inn. So they all then went down to the inn. Now I have to tell you that the last time they did this in Pete Atkins' village, they had over 140 people squeezed into the pub, in addition to the regulars that were already there. And they'd set it up ready. So again, everybody asked the question, is the baby Jesus here? And the landlord had a note to say, no, he's not here. I'm sorry, there was no room in the inn. But I think if you go down the road, you might find him down the road. And they pointed the way towards the village green. And when they get to the village green, there were some wise men. So again, the question is asked, is the baby Jesus here? And the wise men say, no, but we understand we're following a star. And we understand that the star's over there, and point to where it is. And in Pete Atkins' back garden, there's a hut which serves as a place where they can set up a nativity scene. And there's time for the shepherds and others to get there before to make the scene. And they've lit it up and made it very nice with some artistic work behind. And there is the baby Jesus, Mary and Joseph and the baby Jesus. And then the wise men come in as well. And apparently in the village, there's a great competitiveness as to who's providing baby Jesus that year. Now imagine that, you're engaging the whole of the village and taking the story of Christmas out of your church back into the community where it belongs. Very keen on that. Now, a word about Christmas trees. Now, not everybody thinks it's a good idea to have a Christmas tree in church. I'm quite happy to do so. But there are things you can do with a Christmas tree, and Gordon's going to tell us about that.
Indeed, Barry. One church that I saw that was really lovely, they had next to the Christmas tree a big box of silver stars, cardboard stars, and the idea was that you were invited to write on those stars the name of somebody who had passed away or weren't there or in a particular need. So the Christmas tree became a prayer tree, and really effective. The other thing as well that you'll find in the handout, I don't want to say too much about it, but we need to remember, as I often try and remind people, that the child in the crib to Christ on the cross is only a matter of time. And in the handouts you will find something that helps you to take your Christmas tree, that helps it to make a journey then through to becoming a focus for your Lenten devotions, Good Friday, and then decorated to speak of the resurrection on Easter Sunday, taking people on that journey as well. But there's a handout that explains that what that's how to go from the cradle to the cross.
Thank you, Gordon. So quite a number of different ideas that you can use, and we are happy to take other ideas. You can email them to us, and we'd be glad to pass those on. Now, we've just got 10 more minutes before we end up, so very quickly, something about maybe taking the pressure off parents on Christmas Eve.
Very quickly, again, this is just straightforward. Can you possibly run as close as you can to Christmas time a children's activity? They're full of energy. They'll be able to calm, run off some of their energy, meet their friends. The parents and carers have a moment for themselves as well. And then the key, I think, though, is that you invite the parents back either for a lunch or for tea, and you'll have done some work with the children, a drama, dramatized story, a carol or something, and a quiz that you've been using, and so you re-engage the adults in a little bit of a taster of what you've been doing with the children as well. Don't just let them come, pick up the children and run off. Engage them in what you've been doing, and then let them know about the rest of the activities you might be doing over Christmas. Really works brilliantly, that. Excellent stuff.
I like the idea of inviting the parents back, because if you've done a quiz with the children, they'll know the answers and do the quiz again and set the children against the grown-ups. That'd be great fun. And there's bags of resources. Scripture Union have got lots of resources. Barnabas in Church, a Messy Church, lots and lots of resources out there with things for children. But of course, what we want to do is think about, okay, we get all these people come to church at Christmas time, but what next?
I mean, the important thing that's fairly easy is there are any number of good websites around that you can put on your carol sheets. And if you're doing a carol sheet, try not to sort of run it out every year, but produce one for that year, put some prayers in there, put websites like www.christianity.org.uk, and they're on the handouts there, and invite people to take them with them and just say there are some prayers there that you can use, sing some of those carols. By the way, you'll find a website if you want to know more about what Jesus did when he grew up as well. And with that, as we've talked about here, is that recognizing that folks will be coming from perhaps a wide area, and so we may not be able to engage with them directly, but we can at least put some websites and something in their hand so they can follow it up later on themselves.
And if you're chatting to people over coffee after a Christmas service and you find out where they come from, maybe they'd be interested, if they don't already have a link with the church, they'd be quite open to you creating a link for them. So don't hesitate, get in there and offer. Okay, and have takeaways. Now, I think, Gordon, we need to move on a bit, but people can make a note of soul food and that website, because I know this is a particularly important one for you, but I don't think we've got enough time to spend on it. But again, I think it's in the handouts, but that soul food thing is fine. If it's not there, Gordon's email address is in the handouts, and you can contact him. But we're going to talk about the fact that Christmas provides lots of opportunities for us to talk about Jesus. He's the reason for the season. But of course, many of us aren't confident in sharing our faith story, and the Church Army has got this marvelous website called Faith Pictures. And we're just going to show you a little video. Gordon tells me the lip sync might not be quite right, but hopefully it's enjoyable. It's only for a few moments, and it'll give you some idea. Series of 6 very accessible, very easy to use, great fun to use as well, sessions to help people learn how to share their story and have confidence doing it. So here's a video, started a moment, and this is just taken from the first session, opening the conversation.
I was on a bus journey, rail station to my home, and sitting behind 2 ladies, mature ladies, and listening into their conversation and trying to pretend I wasn't, as you do. And one of them said to the other, "Oh, it's our grandson's christening on Sunday." And the other one said, "Oh yes, I'd forgotten you go to church. Why is it you're a Christian?" And the first one said, "Oh, you can't possibly ask me something like that. You'd have to ask the vicar." And I was sitting behind them, willing her, "Go on, say something. Anything will do." And eventually she said, "I do find the services very peaceful, and I like that." And the other one
Sorry.
said, "Oh, peace. I can tell you all about peace. You should come to my Pilates class. It's the most peaceful point of my entire week." And to my disappointment, the conversation ended with the first one writing the time of the Pilates class in her diary. The other one didn't even get an invitation to the christening. And ever since I heard that, I've been thinking to myself, there must be something we can do to help Christian people when they've got a wide open opportunity to talk about their faith, not to think, oh, this is an embarrassment, but to think, oh, this is an opportunity.
So the discussion would follow on. Perhaps, what would you say to somebody who asks you the question, why do you go to church? And doing it in a group makes it fun and ever so easy to do. Now, Christmas will soon be over, and then the next big thing, of course, is the end of the year and New Year. Some of you will have perhaps prayer meetings or something on Christmas, on New Year's Eve, and maybe running it over to New Year's Day, maybe having a short celebration service and have some worship and praise. And those of you that have got bell towers, well, opportunity, ring the bells and celebrate. And chance to talk perhaps about promises, new resolutions, and also broken promises and forgiveness. So opportunities that link in with that. And then we come to Epiphany, which is about the revelation of Jesus Christ as the Son of God and Saviour. It's about revelation, the appearing, the manifestation of Jesus. Go on, you go on.
So one of the things we can do here is, they said, we've got these people around us who maybe have come and engaged with us over the Christmas time. Hopefully we can be thinking about saying, well, if you really want to know more about the child in the crib who became the Christ on the cross, then we are running this simple course. It could be Alpha, Christian Explored, the Pilgrim course, whatever it is, to try and help people to make that journey. But it's again thinking always what next steps can we help them, rather than you've just not sort of come for the Christmas time and that's it, job's done, I'll see you next year. No, how can we encourage them to take and to continue that journey of exploration?
And another way in which you could help people is perhaps with a free version of Luke's Gospel in contemporary English. Now, I have a small supply of these, and I'm happy to send one post-free to anybody that would like to contact me. If you have someone on the fringe of your church and you're willing to, on a one-to-one basis, offer them this and encourage them to read Luke's Gospel. Now, it's got very well illustrated, it's got help pages, information, and it's got testimonies in it. And I would suggest maybe you could offer it to somebody and say, look here, I've been given this as a gift. It's a contemporary translation of one of the Gospels. I'm interested in knowing how people perhaps find this. Would you mind reading it? If you could find about an hour, you could read it through and let me know what you think about it. I'd be ever so grateful. Now, if you could be a bit cunning like that and do that, well, then perhaps you'd help somebody to discover this. So here it is. It's a lovely free book, and it's available to you. Just contact me. My email address is in the handout, so you'll have it.
Barry, if you've got a, can I just say, if you've got a coffee morning regularly, could that be something you might just walk around with some of the folks there? That you know, if you've got people particularly sort of like come from outside the church, and just as you sit having a coffee with them, and then invite them to come back again to coffee morning and pick it up.
Yeah, well, there are a number of ways. One church used it as kind of a part of their reading club, and they did it, went through it together and talked about it together. But it's about finding that Jesus is not an ordinary man. He is this special, unique person, and his birth, his life, his death is set out, and all of that's there. So fundamentally, we're wanting to say, don't do the same old over Christmas. Add something, do something different, make it a bit more dynamic, and work with your partners. Okay, January, February, it's a bit quieter, Gordon, isn't it?
Yeah, moving on here into January, February time, which, as you said, is a quieter time. And think about, well, here we are in January, so you begin to, this is a good opportunity thinking about, we talked about New Year's resolutions and all of that stuff. Well, what's my personal faith story? We've talked about the faith story from Church Army. You might be able to sort of pick up something of that again and take that on and develop it a bit further. But think about people's faith stories. And then in the February, What about talking about your faith community story? Who are we? Where we come from? Where is God leading us? Who are we as God's people? And this is by sort of way of preparation as the year then works out, because then you'll be in a better place of thinking about engaging with your community, because you've had a bit of a think about who are we as God's people. And again, there's a handout that explains, actually there are 5 stories I suggest that we rehearse over a year, but these 2 particularly in January and February.
Now, those you might find on the website rather than on the handout, but do have a look and see what's there, because there's all sorts of material. So think about how you might share stories of faith and stories of your church, your history. Methodists might want to say something about John Wesley. Right, but we want to say our faith is ours to share. We're not here to constantly ask people to come to church, to fill up our empty pews, to come and join us and sing our hymns and worship the way. We're about sharing good news to others and blessing others. So a couple of suggestions of things you might put on in the quieter months. Maybe an opportunity to have an event, an exhibition or something, celebrating skills and talents in the community. Bring people in and maybe offer refreshments and use it as bridge building. Plenty of choirs around and musicians. Book a concert. Again, invite people in. Put it on for the benefit of the community. Either offer it free, or if you're going to sell tickets, don't sell tickets for the church to raise funds. Link it to a charity like the Air Ambulance. That's what we've done in our village. And we've done events. We had a pudding club, which was a great event. And I'm happy to tell people about that. If you email me, I'll tell you about it, as we're running out of time now. The wonderful pudding club with 21 puddings. Church put on the first course. We had a great time. We'd made a recipe book. We sold that as well. And we raised hundreds of pounds for the Air Ambulance. And the village was grateful because they were blessed, and they blessed the church because they'd been blessed, which was great. So we want to say thank you for being here. Sorry I'm croaky. Sorry there's been the odd little wrinkle in it, but thank you for being here. Download those handouts. We'll leave this on for a while, this screen, so you can download the handouts. The survey will come up and should also come in an email. Please do complete it and get it back to us. And if you're interested in that online conversation with just a few of us gathering together to talk and maybe share other ideas or to flesh out some of the things we've said, that'll be this time, 7 o'clock, next Wednesday, and you need again to respond. It'll be in the survey. Okay, so you can respond in the survey to tell us whether you'd like to do that. Watch the website, watch Facebook, and find out when other webinars are coming. But from me, thanks for being here. Good night, and God bless you.
And from Gordon as well, God's blessing be with you, and have joy and fun over the Christmas season as you present the greatest prize and gift that anybody could ever have. God bless you all.
Thank you, Gordon. Bye.